A Bullet in the Ballet by Caryl Brahms and S.J. Simon. Abridged and read by David Rumelle. Episode 7. Following the inquest on Anton Polukh's murder, it would seem there is a mysterious jinx on whoever dances the role of Petrushka.
The evening after the inquest on Poluch, Quill sat in his room covering page after page of foolscap with schoolboy handwriting. When in doubt, counsels the detective handbook, document your facts and stare them in the face. Quill had followed this counsel. After some work, he found himself looking at the following. Petrushka. 3 dancers who danced or were due to dance this role have died within the last 2 months. February the 2nd, Marius Pilaf, found shot in dressing room of theatre in Paris. Verdict, suicide. April 6th, Anton Poluch, seen on top of booth in last scene of Petrushka at the Collodium Theatre. Verdict, murder by person or persons unknown. April 8th, Pavel Bunia, found shot in booth in first scene of Petrushka. Inquest not yet fixed. The following are known to have motives of sorts for the murder. Rubinska, in love with Poluch but discarded. P. Putik, wife unfaithful with Poluch, ancient history now. Stroganoff feared that Poluch would leave him for Lord Buttonhook. Volti Subito, the conductor, known to dislike Poluch. Stanley Simpson, in wings at time of shooting. Pavel Bunia, a very strong case of circumstantial evidence surrounds this suspect. General dislike, or more, as in the case of Poluch, had the opportunity for the murder. Kasha Ranievsky, only man in company with whom Poluch was on friendly terms. If there is no connection between the cases, it is certainly curious that death should have overtaken the 3 while dancing or about to dance Petrushka. If there is a connection, it argues the presence of a person in the company with an antipathy for all Petrushka. For this antipathy to extend to homicide argues a madman. Detective's handbook not helpful in this respect. Watch carefully for indications of an unbalanced mind. But the entire Stroganoff company showed strong indications of unbalanced minds a dozen times daily. Reticence is not one of the qualities of Russian dancers, but so far have not encountered any person revealing a dislike of Petrushka in his speech. It seems to be a favourite part and much coveted by dancers. Even old Putik, in spite of his age, still hankers after it. Assuming that there is a Petrushka hater in the company, would he or she not give themselves away every time they spoke of the ballet? There can be no harm in discussing the ballet with various members of the company and noting their reactions. After he looked at the last entry, it struck Quill that it was a pity that the murders had not taken place during a ballet by Navazhno. By all accounts, the place was bristling with people who did not like Navazhno's ballets. Quill smiled at the idea, and from there his thoughts passed to Navazhno himself. Immediately, Quill felt slightly excited. Not that Navazhno was any madder than the rest, but his mania lay in a passion for the modern, combined with an extreme sensitiveness of any disparagement of his own work. A ballet like Petrushka, though created as late as 1910, might easily appear to Navazhno as old and absurd, and its obstinate success might easily breed a hatred of it, which in turn might translate itself into a hatred of the performers in it. On the more prosaic question of opportunity, Navazhno had not been dancing in the ballet when Poluch was killed. As there was no possible reason to rank him amongst the suspects, his statement that he had been in the wings had not been closely checked. When Pavel was murdered, Navazhno was dancing the Moor and occupied the next booth but one to Pavel. This offered an opportunity of slipping out for a moment, shooting Pavel, and slipping back again. If this was the crime of a lunatic, there could be no better suspect. However, psychoanalysis was not one of his strongest points, and it might be as well to have an expert opinion when tackling Navazhno. Reasonably satisfied with the night's work, Quill put away his notes and went to bed. Scotland Yard was not the only body to get in touch with Paris over the murder of Marius Pilaf's suicide. The whole of Fleet Street had had the same idea. But while the connection between the 3 dead Petrushkas was only one of alternate theories to Quill, to the press, unhandicapped by the need of making an arrest, it had become a burning faith. In some mysterious way, the dead clowns seemed to have altered the face of London. Every small tobacconist and sweet shop had its bulgy window propped up with some inviting titbit as "Death stalks the ballet. 3 clowns no longer laugh." In trains, bobbing eyes focused on the ballet with the trail of blood. At home, dressing-gowned wives shuddered delightfully over composite pictures of the 3 Petrushkas hunched upon the stage, and strongly suspected Stroganoff of being the Bluebeard, mainly on account of his foreign name. The Night Dispatch hurriedly abandoned its series of latter-day Landrus in favour of tragedies in sawdust, Petrushka, Piero, Pagliacci, etc. 3 crumpled clowns, flaunted the Daily Distraught posters. The clown with the cloud of death achieved the evening scoop. "They danced Petrushka and died," announced the Evening Yelp pathetically. "Is there a hoodoo on this ballet?" asked the Mystical Times. "Abandon this ballet," demanded Fascism for All. "Ballots, bullets, blood," promised a popular weekly. And then there were long articles, hurriedly commissioned from prominent writers of detective fiction, not one of which omitted to point out the truth was stranger than fiction. The Daily Distraught ran a special by their ace sob sister, Petunia Patch. "The terrible fate of these 3 crumpled clowns cries to the world for vindication. What is this role that brings with it a heritage of doom? The trail of death is set in Paris, city of laughter, city of love. There, huddled in his dressing-room, his sightless eyes raised to the powerless ceiling, his pitiful hands forever still, crouched the first fated clown, Marius Pilaf, who was of course first cousin to the well-known diplomat, Prince Andrei Andreev, known to ballet-mains the whole world over for the brilliance of his Tour en l'air en seconde. In London, Anton Palouk, whose Petrushka ranked second only to that of Nijinsky-Bolm-Voiskovsky, met his death in full view of a brilliant first-night audience. Petrushka, the comic figure of 1,000 Russian fairings, Petrushka, the tragic hero of a ballet weighted with tears. Petrushka, no man and every man. Petrushka, high on the roof of the blue-fringed booth, his mimed agony turning suddenly to the pangs of a terrible death. The second clown is a crumpled shape against the deep shadows of a painted world, and still that grisly tally has not been concluded. Behind the curtains at the puppet's booth, hiding what dreadful secret, screening what cunning hand, the finest dancer of them all lurches against the canvas walls. His features are still beneath the running grease paint. His mouth has sagged horribly. Pavel Bunia has met a death more secret, perhaps more terrible than any of these fated clowns. Who is to be the next Petrushka? The dancers ask. Who is to be the next Petrushka? And what will happen to him? In what familiar guise does death stalk the ballet? These children of superstition cry, and who will be foolhardy enough to take the role on Wednesday week? Who brave enough? Who? Stroganoff was sick of the question. The waiter who brought his chocolate in the morning, the commissionaire who called his taxi, the stage doorkeeper at his theatre, sundry members of his company lingering about the stairs. To make it worse, he had not the faintest idea who was going to dance Petrushka. Ernest Smitsky was his most experienced dancer now, but it was impossible to visualize Smitsky as Petrushka, or rather, only too easy to visualize that grim conscientiousness pirouetting as faultlessly and as unemotionally as a whirling top. Still, Smitsky was a coward. He'd probably be only too relieved not to be offered the part, but his other dancers were almost as unsuitable. The only one of his younger members who showed any signs of talent was Kasha Ranievsky. Stroganoff suddenly remembered that he'd promised the part to P. Putik to keep him quiet at the inquest. Putik must be told at once not to take the promise too seriously. At any moment he might go and make the announcement to some reporter. It would not be pleasant breaking the news to the old man. Bright idea. He'd tell Stanley to do it. "But you be tactful, no?" he finished. "Oh, what was that clever English axiom about breaking off 2 glass houses with 1 stone?" reflected Stroganoff happily, as Stanley departed. Well, certainly he'd achieved it this time. Life perhaps was not so complicated after all. His ballet was a sensation as never before, all seats sold weeks ahead, and the management actually asking him to extend his season. For the first time for many years, he saw himself solvent. What with his profits and those gold shares he had bought last week that would soon be double, he'd soon be rich and prosperous, and his broker. He would at last be polite. "I will ring him now," he promised himself, "and find out how they are feeling." But here was Monsieur Quill, doubtless in a very good humour over the new assassin that he must find. Stroganoff pushed away the receiver and produced his usual welcome. Quill replied shortly that he had not slept at all. Quill stopped him. "I've come to ask you some questions." Stroganoff was instantly depressed. "Useless to come to me and ask who dance Petrushka next. It is a problem bien difficile. First, we have none who can dance it good, and second, if we should find such a one, he should be afraid. All my dancers think that when they dance Petrushka next, they die. It is your newspapers that have done this thing to me." Indignantly, he picked up the Daily Distraught, brandished it, and threw it into the waste-paper basket, only to rescue it the next moment. "My shares, they are in that." "I would like a few details about Pilaf's suicide," said Quill, and Stroganoff sighed. If he were only alive, my problem in it would not exist. He was superb as Petrushka, not as superb as Voiskovsky, but better than Anton Palouk." The phone bell rang. "J'écoute," said Stroganoff. "I am dancing him myself," he finished fiercely. "I would like to hear your own account of Pilaf's death." Stroganoff shrugged. "It was strange. Pilaf, very nice man. He laugh, he joke. The girls, they all like him. And never he ask me for an advance. And then, poof, he suicided. It is the mystery insoluble." "Did he, to your knowledge, have any enemies?" "No, we all love him. Except maybe Nevashno. Nevashno a little cross because Pilaf he never consent to dance in his ballets. Pilaf very old-fashioned and would never dance anything later than Fokin." "And that upsets Nevashno?" "What would you? Nevashno is an artist. He lives only for his work. To ignore it, to dismiss it, as Pilaf did, that is the insult. Nevashno so hurt with Pilaf, he never even asked him to change him check." After Quill's speculations about the modernist, this was distinctly interesting. Was Nevashno in the theatre on the night of the suicide? "Mais pourquoi pas? Oh, the company it was there. Anton and Pavel, they share a dressing room then," he remembered. "But it was not a success." "Was the personnel of your company the same in Paris as in London?" "Absolument," said Stroganoff with pride. "My company, they never leave me. I am to them like a father. Sometimes," he admitted reluctantly, "there is a little exception. But then, children, they sometimes quarrel and leave their fathers too. But my principals, they never go, not even to Buttonhook. Especially," he added naively, "now that I shall be able to pay them. And that reminds me." He dialed. "I desire," he said, "Monsieur Johns. Is this Monsieur Johns? Good morning. I am Stroganoff. You remember me without doubt? My shares, they feel well, no?" "No?" he repeated, startled. "Tiens, c'est curieux. Still, it can't be serious. Doubtless they will get up soon. Maybe it's a good idea to buy some more, no?" "But, mon ami, you are too cautious. Do you not realize that to make money you must risk something?" But the broker appeared to be adamant, and after some further protests, Stroganoff hung up. "Oh, he advised me to sell," he confided indignantly. "What do you think of that? If I sell today, I lose already £50. "You do not consider," said Quill, trying hard to bring him back to the point, "that Pilaf did not commit suicide, that he was murdered." Stroganoff did not seem interested. "Ah, perhaps, but that was a long time ago and in Paris. So why you worry me? I must worry for a Petrushka for Wednesday week." And carefully folding the Daily Distraught, a Petunia Patch's crumpled clown article, he strode off to drop it carelessly in Smitsky's dressing room. Quill let him go. There was no help to be got out of Stroganoff this morning. Only one person in the company could be relied upon to remember the details of a 3-month-old death, and that was Stanley. Quill set off to find him. Stanley had forgotten nothing. There was not a single detail of his sojourn in Paris that he did not remember and attempt to retail, including an irrelevant story of an expensive adventure of incredible purity in the foyer of the Folies Bergère. As to the death of Pilaf, Stanley's chief emotion seemed to be one of irritation at the sûreté who had not allowed him to help. He himself had never been satisfied with the suicide verdict. Not that he particularly suspected anyone, but he had been given no chance to investigate. "I tell you what," said Stanley, tapping Quill's chest impressively. "I've come to a conclusion. There's a murderer in this company." "No," said Quill. "There's something fishy about 3 dead clowns." Stanley, too, had read Petunia Patch. "Seems to me that most likely that one person did in all 3, and what's more, I have a theory as to who it is. Don't ask me about it," he went on quickly. "I don't want to talk about it till I've got proof, and I hope to have proof soon." "Oh," said Quill. "It's dangerous, of course, but I'm used to danger. And directly I've got the evidence, I'll let you know." "But," began Quill. "Don't thank me," said Stanley. "I'm only doing my duty as a citizen." Quill left him to his researches, in which, curiously enough, he felt no great confidence, and went out to lunch.